Do you say yes when you really mean no? Do you end up babysitting someone's pet tarantula when you'd rather be out doing things on your own? Or do you take on extra tasks at work when your boss asks you to? When your paperwork pile is already so high you need to go to Sports Direct and buy crampons to climb it? If this is the case, then this is the video for you. How to say no nicely. So, how do we say no? I am a semi-reformed yes person. I am almost cured, and I'm going to share with you some of my top tips for saying no nicely. I don't know about you, but when someone asks me to do something that I don't really want to do, I'm blindsided and I kind of get into a bit of a tailspin. And guess what? Yes, I end up saying yes. My lips form those words before I've even had a chance to think about it. So why do I say yes when I really want to say no? Well, like all of us, it's our Achilles heel. I like to be liked. 90% of the population want to be liked. Unless you have the psychopath gene, it's what makes us all get along. It builds those social bonds. You do things for friends and family. It makes it a much more cooperative society. And yes, sometimes you go along with it and you say yes when you want to say no, and that's absolutely fine. It's the price you pay for those kind of relationships. But it does come at a price, and being able to say no nicely is a skill that we need to develop in this very noisy world. It's something that is an incredibly important skill. It will allow you to prioritize your It will allow you to prioritize your time better. And when you do say yes to doing something, you will really want to do it. And the person you say yes to, guess what? They'll feel the benefit and they know that you will mean it. So here's a tip. If you want to give a gracious no, try sandwiching it between two compliments or two positive statements. So thank the other person for asking you and then give a polite refusal. So, for example, thanks so much for asking me to goldfish sit this weekend. I'm sorry, but I'm not free, but it is always a pleasure to be asked. This gracious reply preserves your friendship and it makes clear that you are not going to be granting them the favour. Okay, next. Sometimes when someone asks you to do something, you just can't think quickly enough and it gets you all in a bit of a pickle. So one of the things that I would recommend is have a standard reply ready. The thing you always say when somebody asks you to do something and you don't want to do it, you actually want to say no. It saves you having to think of something on the spot. So finding the right words to say no can be difficult when you're under pressure. So come up with a couple of phrases that you might be able to use, something to go back to time and time again to make it less stressful for you. So for example, I have too many other commitments right now. I can't help you, but thank you so much for asking. A standard no in the work environment can be really helpful. Obviously, you need to be a little bit more politically correct and indeed a little bit more polite. My standard, please go away, I'm busy, I can't deal with you right now, is probably not the best response to give. I will say that most people did go away and didn't come back, but I'll also say I never got invited to the summer barbecue or the Christmas party. But be direct. I'm terribly sorry. I'm a little bit against the wire just now. I'm terribly sorry. I've got some deadlines and a lot of my own work. Perhaps when I finish that, I can help you out. Might be a better way to go, but think about it in advance. That's really the point, so that you're prepared when somebody comes along and tries to get you to do something when you want to say no, but you end up saying yes. Don't use an excuse. I know it's going to be really tempting because it makes you feel an awful lot better. So for example, no, I'm terribly sorry, I'd love to, but I'm washing my socks that evening, might not be the best way to go. Not the sock washing, the excuse. If, for example, they say, oh, shall we go out on Saturday evening? And you say, no, I'm terribly sorry, I can't get a babysitter. If they then turn around and say, oh, that's okay, I know a babysitter that's free on Saturday evening, you're going to end up going out with them anyway. So a firm but polite no, thank you, is going to be much better than going out with someone you don't want to because you're not washing your socks. So don't use an excuse. You can get yourself into all kinds of trouble and become terribly tongue-tied. It's easier just to put out a polite no. So for example, let me give you a personal situation. If you know me well through other channels in social media, you'll know that I have a wonderful dog, Puddles the Wonder Dog, and she and I go for long walks on a regular basis. Now, I'm new to my neighbourhood. I arrived just back from Spain during the period of lockdown, so I haven't really got to know my neighbours terribly well. But as we're coming out of lockdown and life's becoming a little easier, on an evening, I think it was a Saturday evening, Puddles and I were walking down our street, and one of my new neighbours rushed to the edge of her fence and said, "Hi, who are you? What's your name?" Obviously, we started a conversation. She was in the middle of a family barbecue. "Come on in," she said. "The garden's enormous. Why don't you join us? You can have a glass of wine or two and we can put extra food on the barbecue." Now, I'd actually got some kind of plans that evening. I don't think they were glorious or glamorous, but I didn't really want to socialise. And they were dressed up to the nines. They'd made a huge effort as an end of lockdown party. And there was I in my bad training shoes, my jogging bottoms, my hair pulled back and not a scrap of makeup. I didn't feel party ready. So I said, "I'm terribly sorry, I can't. Obviously I've got Puddles with me and I don't really want to leave her on her own. We've not been in the neighbourhood that long." "No problem," she said. "My husband runs a chain of dog grooming salons. We love dogs. She can come in and join us. It won't be a problem. I'll even put a burger on the barbecue for her." Okay, I think, so I can't use Puddles, and now I'm in a conversation with a really lovely lady and I just want to go home. So, okay, well, I do have another half at home and he has suggested that we might go out this evening, so I don't know exactly what we're doing. We might be going for a long walk and maybe for a drink or something. "No, don't worry about it. He can come along too. Why don't you call him? You don't have to go home, come and have a glass of wine." So now I can't use the dog as an excuse and I can't use my other half as an excuse, and I'm getting really quite stressed. And this lady is being lovely, she's warm and she's friendly, and I've got myself in a whole pickle just because I'm new to the neighbourhood and I don't want to seem rude. So at the end of the day, I said, "Look, it's an absolutely lovely thing to invite me. I'm really pleased, but I'm just not really in the mood. I must prefer to catch up with you another day." And she was fine about it. She's invited me up the road for a tall glass of gin on a lovely summer's evening. And we did smile and we did laugh, but I could have got myself in a real situation there. I could have ended up spending time with people I didn't know when I wasn't in the mood, for no reason of her, no fault of hers. So don't make an excuse. In the end, it's easier to say, "Thank you so much for inviting me to your barbecue. You look like you're having an amazing time, but it's just not for me right now. Maybe we can catch up later in the week or another day." Leave it at that. Say no nicely and walk away. So you're caught on the hop and someone rushes towards you at work and you know they're going to ask you to do something and you're busy enough as it is. You really want to say no and you're terrified you're going to say yes. So here's another little strategy that might just work out for you. Suggest an alternative offer of help or suggest a different date. So, for example, "Can you do this for me? I really need you to do this for me." And you can turn around and say, "Okay, I'm not free at the moment. It's not something I can do, but maybe Dick, Jane or Spot, who have a lighter workload, will be able to help you out with that particular problem." Now, don't just make up a name out of the air. Think of somebody who can actually help with what they're asking for. Alternatively, if Dick, Jane and Spot are also busy, what you could say is, "Thank you so very much, it's great to be asked, but I am a little bit busy myself at the moment. Perhaps I can give you a call or drop you an email a few weeks hence when I'm a little less busy and we can get together and do the thing, whatever it is then." we can do it 2-3 days hence, we can do it in a couple of hours. It doesn't really matter, but suggest either an alternative supplier or an alternative time to do the thing. It's a nice way of letting somebody down, but don't back down at the end of the suggestion. Don't say, well, maybe I could do it later for you. No, I'm busy right now. I'll call you or email you when I'm free, and we can have a conversation about doing it then. It's a much better way of doing it. So, an example from my own life. I used to have a sales manager that worked for me, a fantastic guy. Out of work we got on fantastically. In fact, in work we got on fantastically. And I'm sure I was as challenging as he was, but he had a couple of annoying habits. The upside of this particular guy was he looked like Jude Law's good-looking brother. So yes, all the ladies liked him about the office, but he had an incredibly annoying habit. He was often ill-prepared and would want help with presentations, all of which is absolutely fine. He needed help in the sales pitch or he needed help with pricing, all of which was absolutely fine. And you would think that if he was going to a meeting, he would have all of his ducks in a row, and he absolutely did. Unfortunately, this particular sales manager used to do everything against the wire at the last possible minute. So what would happen is I would see him coming across the office. I have access to his diary, so I know for a fact that he's about to leave the office to go to a sales meeting or presentation, and he's heading towards me with purpose. Yeah, he wants my help on the pricing or the presentation or the structure or the product or the delivery. It doesn't really matter what he wanted me for. And I know he's going to ask me to solve his problem in the next 10 minutes. Now, this became a bit of a game for us, absolutely. But he used to come along and I used to, yes, try and solve that particular problem before he scooted out of the door, normally to win the pitch, I will tell you. But it was both annoying and inefficient for me, and although he didn't realise it, it was inefficient for him too. So I started saying no. So he would come up to me and he would say, can you help me with? And I would go, yes, absolutely, we'll do it tomorrow. And then he would panic, but we'd do it anyway. Over a period of time, this became a joke between us, but in all honesty, it became less and less that he would ask me right on the wire. We started to have a bit of a relationship whereby he would come to me at least the day before. But if I hadn't started to say no to him, we would constantly have butted heads over this particular issue. So yes, I used to say to him, yeah, I'll absolutely help you, but not right now. We'll do it tomorrow, or we'll do it the next afternoon. So yeah, there are people out there that will drive you mad and frustrate you, but saying no nicely is probably the best thing to do. For example, I have my own personal rules that I like to try and make people aware of so that no one falls foul of them. One of them is that I don't work 7 days a week. I'm an entrepreneur, I work for myself, I work in my own business, so yes, I do work most of the time, and a lot of the time it's an enormous amount of fun and I do have a laugh. But it is work and there are things to be done like accounts and bank bookkeeping and all sorts of things. But I have a strict rule that I will only work 6 days a week. It happens to be Sunday I take off. It could be any other day of the week. It doesn't really matter. But it gives me time to connect with people I need to connect to in my personal life. And it gives me time to take a chill pill and to reformulate and rethink and just to have some calming space in my life. One of the other personal rules that I absolutely have is that I must walk my dog twice a day. I've mentioned her twice in this video already, but simply getting out into nature twice a day, even in the wind and the rain, gives you that moment of pause, and I find that incredibly useful. So yes, you can call me when I'm walking puddles and we can certainly have a business conversation, but I won't make an excuse for the road noise or the rain or the wind rustling through the trees. Those are just 2 examples of my own personal rules. Build your own rules as to how you want to work and make sure people are aware of them. They are less likely to ask you to toad sit on a Sunday if they know that you take that day off and it's a day that is just for you. No toad sitting this weekend, thank you very much. Well, that's my little video on how to say no, and what I really want now is for you all to say yes. Ideally give me a lovely thumbs up because you like it, and I would love you to subscribe because I'd love to see you all again. If not, head on over to brainybiscuit.com where I have a free video about how to get anything you want. Yes, really. Alternatively, join me on Instagram where I post motivational quotes every day, and I would love to see you there. And last but not least, good old Facebook. We're chatting on Facebook all of the time about business and how to break the glass ceiling in your job. I look forward to seeing you all again really, really soon. So live your best life, and bye now.